I recently made a video about the Thermaltake Tower 100 PC case. In that video, I made note that I think it would look better with an AIO cooler instead of this air cooler from AMD. Although I do like the look of that, I think this will look better. I've also had a question or two about the fan mount that sits above the power supply. Really didn't go into that on that video, so this is just a quick follow-up video to that. I'll show you the AIO install. We'll get this 140 millimeter fan installed above the power supply, and I'll show some details on that, what that looks like. And anyways, let's get to it. I'll come back here in a minute and I'll just give you my final thoughts and opinions, and we'll see how it looks. So the Tower 100 case comes apart quite easily. To get this top filter panel off, just push it and it just pops up and you can pull it out. It's intended for easy access to your cable connections. From there, just 5 screws and you can remove the top cover. Beyond that, you've got to remove these 3 panels, the 2 sides and the front. They just lift up and off. No screws or tools required. From there, get the back panel removed, 4 thumb screws, and it just lifts off. You got to deal with the fan connection there. Since this was an existing build, I've got to remove all the existing components, heat sink, video card, just to get some room. I really didn't have any trouble with this project. This back bracket here was the only thing that kind of got in the way. The back panel of the case is kind of in the way, so I had to loosen the motherboard to get it out. Anyways, 4 screws, you get the existing pre-installed fan out along with the cable. From there, I just did kind of a test fit of the cooler just to kind of make sure I had the orientation correct. That's a big topic for discussion that we won't go into on this video, but once you make those decisions, get your fan installed, and 4 screws installs the cooler to the top of the case. And then you just got to install the hardware for your cooler. Back bracket, water block, put the screws and all the hardware in and make sure it's tight, thermal paste, all that kind of thing. From there, installing the 140 millimeter fan was fairly simplistic to do. That top bracket comes off. And there's 2 screws in the front, 2 screws in the back, and even with an existing build with cables everywhere, it was easy to get out. The 4 long screws that mount this to the bracket are included with the Thermaltake case. Once you're done, put it back in. 2 screws in the front, 2 screws in the back. There'll be a little bit of cable management to do. I had to reroute a few things and make a couple of changes, but no big deal. We'll go ahead and get it all buttoned back up here. Get all the components put back in. I think it turned out pretty good. Looks good so far. We'll get all the side covers back on. Remove a little bit of plastic from the initial build that I didn't realize was still on there. And the top cover and the 5 screws and then the filter plate. Overall, pretty good upgrade. I think it turned out great. Powered right up. I went into the BIOS and set the speeds for the water block and the pump and all the fans. And so I did do some basic thermal testing, which I'll get to in just a second. But overall, a lot of this was for aesthetic reasons that I did this. The air cooler did just fine temperature-wise, but I think it turned out looking pretty sharp. You'll have to be the judge of that. Everybody will have a different opinion on that. So on air cooling, and I just pushed the CPU to 100% with Prime 95 for about an hour. CPU temps, I was getting 64, 65 on the air cooler. On the water cooler, I was getting an average of 62 with maybe a max of 65. So marginal difference, but a few degrees. This is not powerful hardware in here, so your results might vary. And it didn't change much whether I was stop that bottom power supply fan or let it go. But overall, I think it turned out really good. Obviously looks a lot sharper and a lot more modern with the water cooler in it. And I do really like that air cooler, but I think this turned out fantastic. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you happen to do some temperature testing, put your results down there. Maybe that'll help everybody out. But overall, I think this was a success. Thanks for watching. Bye.